Alright, Part 211, Interpretation Relating to Financial Matters. 3, Amendment Part 211, and Subpart A with the adding and modernization oil gas reporting release number of FR 78. Release date December 31st, 2008. List of the interpretive releases. Part 229, Standard Instruction Filing Forms under Security Act 1933, Security Exchange Act of 1934, Energy Policy Conservation Act 1970, Regulation SK. Authority certain citations. Part 229 continues to read as far as follows. Amend Part 229.102, revise an introductory text. Instruction 3, Instruction 4, 5, and 8. Read as follows. 229.102 with the item 102 with the description property. Instruction 102 with the K for the extract with the enterprise with the involved with the oil gas production activity with the material information given the production reserve the location development nature of the registration interest of the individual property of the major significant industry segments of the production registration engaged with the oil gas production activity producing providing information support required in subpart Chapter 100 Regulation SK. In the case of active, the reservoir of the oil gas reservoir estimate of the other proven and probable reserve, the estimated value of the reserve that will not be disclosed with the document publicly involved within the commission left the information required with the disclosure of the document for and state with the law, provided, however, that there were such estimates previously been provided with the person aimed of the offering of the acquiring of the merged console with the registration otherwise with acquiring registration security estimate may include but the document real acquiring acquisition 8 the attention of a certain issue that engaged in the oil gas producing activity direct for the information called the Security Act Industry Guide 4, Amendment 229.801, removing and reserving as paragraph B with the removing authority citation from section. Amendment 229.802 by removing and reserving paragraph B with the removing authority citation from the following. And then add subpart 229.1200 for the to read as follows. Subpart 229.1200 scope of the registration and engaged in oil gas production activities. 229.1201 Item 1201 General and strictly oil gas specific standards. If oil gas producing activity material registrants or a subsidiary business operation final position disclosure specified in subpart 229.1200 should be included with appropriate captions, cross references applicable to the treaty with the related information disclosed, financial statements, however the limited partners joint venture for the conducted operate manage report upon oil gas drilling income programs acquired with the property for the drilling with the production oil gas geothermal steam water not include such disclosure to the extent items 1202 through 1208 and call for the disclosure of the tablets or formula specified for the particular item of the registrant modified with the form and easy for the presentation add information or combine the two more required tables. The definition rule 410A this regulation SX tells of the Cfrr 210.4.2NA shall apply with the purpose of subpart 229.1200. For this purpose, the subpart 229.1200 is the term geographical area, meaning with appropriate meaningful the disclosure of the circumstance, individual country with a group of the countries within the company, continent by continent. 229.1202 with the item 1202, the disclosure of reserve, some of the oil gas reserve first year, and provide the information specified in 82 with the item the tablature form provided below. Hard to discover the agreement aggregate geographical area each of the country, 15% of the more registered and provide with the reserve of the oil equivalent barrel base for the reserve of the estimated use of the price of the cost of the existing economic condition product of the type of list for the paragraph A4 of the item proved developed reserve of the proved undeveloped reserve of the total proved the reserve of the portable probable developed reserve of the probable undeveloped reserve of the possible developed reserve of the possible the undeveloped reserves. Instruction 1, paragraph A2 with the discover the update reserve of the tables with the discover of each official year with the instruction 2, paragraph of the A2 with the registration of the permit with the not required with the pursuant. Disclose probable or possible the reserve of the pursuant the paragraph A24 and through A27. Instruction A3, paragraph A2 with the registration disclose the amount of the product barrel with the oil equivalent, discover the base for the equivalency with the instruction 4 with the paragraph A2 with the registration with the not provided with the discover the reserve remove country containing 15% of the more registration and approve of the reserve of the country of the government. Prohibited disclosure of the reserve of the country with addition with the registration with the not provided with the disclosure of the reserve of the country containing 15% of the more of the registration proof of the reserve of the country with the government prohibited the disclosure of the particular field. Disclosure of the reserve within the country that would have the effect of the disclosure of the reserve of the particular field. 3. Reporting total reserves shall be the arithmetic sum of the estimate of the individual property field with which even the reserve category probabilistic method the use of the reserve shall not be the aggregate of the probability beyond the field with the property level and some of the shall be accurate with the sum of the arithmetic some assumption. 4. Disclose separately the material of the preserve of the following product type: the oil, natural gas, synthetic oil, synthetic gas, the solvent product for the other non-renewable natural source of the value and typically upgrade of the synthetic oil gas. 5. The registration disclosure probable cause of the oil reserve the discover the uncertainty related to the reserve's estimate. 6. The registration has not been previously disclosed. The reserve of the estimate the following with the commission with the disclosing of the material addition of the reserve of the estimate of the registration shall provide with the general discussion of the technology to estimate. Establish an appropriate level of certainty with the reserve of the estimate of the particular property with include the total reserve of the discover the particular property but do not identify with the proper preparation reserve estimate the reserve audit with the discover the internal control of the registration with the reserve of the estimation form A effort for the addition of the discover the qualification technical person primarily responsible for the overseeing of the preparation of the reserve of the estimate of the registration representative of the third party conducted with the reserve audit with the discover the qualification technical person primarily responsible for the overseeing reserve audit. Third party reports registration representative of the third party prepared for the conduct with the third party of the registration reserve of the estimated valuation thereof of the conduction process review of the registration shall file with the third party exhibit as relevant registration statement thereof of the commission filed with the report relates to the preparation of the reserves audit registration reserve of the estimates of the bonus include the following disclosure applicable to the type of the following. 1. The purpose of the report with the prepared from which it was prepared per the effect of the date of the report with the date of which it was report. 3. The proportion of the registered total reserve of the covered by the report geographical area in which the covered reserve is located. 4. The assumption data method of the procedure included in the percentage of the registration total of reservoir of the review of the connection from the preparation of the report, the statement of the assumption of the data of the method of the procedure of the purpose of the report. 5. Discussion primary economic assumption. 6. For the discussion possible effect with the regulation ability of the registration recover the estimated reserve. 7. The discussion regarding the inherent unnecessary reserve estimates. 8. The statement that the third party has all methods of the procedure for the necessary under the circumstances to prepare the report. 9. A brief summary of the third party conclusion with the reserve of the reserve estimates and signature of the third party for the purpose of the item 1202 with the term reservoir audits means the sum of the process remains certain the pertinent fact with an interpreted with the underlying with the reserve estimate of the prepared with another part with the rendering option with the appropriate of the methodologies employed with the accuracy quality of the data relied upon with the depth of the thoroughness with the reserve of the estimation profit the classification reserve of the appropriate the relevant definition of the reasonable with the estimated reserve of the quantity reservable sensitivity analysis option registration may be with not required to provide the information specified in paragraph B2 with the item tabular format provided below. Our registration may not be required to disclose of the aggregate of the estimate of the reserve of the estimate of each product of the base for the different of the cost, price and cost criteria of the range of the price for the cost reasonable to achieve, including the generalization forecast, future price of the management owned with the forecast of the registration provided the disclosure on paragraph B of the disclosure of the price and cost schedule with the assumption in which will disclose the value of the base. Instruction 1202 with the estimate of the oil gas reach for the reserve of any of the value of the disclosure of the reach for the disclosure of any of the document publicly filed with the commission unless the information required to disclose document foreign state law provided the however there was the estimate prepared but the have been provided the person with the honors of the affiliate with the offering acquired with the merge consolidated with the registration otherwise acquired registration and security with the estimate may be included with the documents related to the such acquisition 229-1203 item 1203 with the undeveloped reservoir discover the total quantity with the undeveloped reservoir of the year discover the material chain with the prove the undeveloped reservoir of the curve of the during of the year to include the prove the undeveloped reserve of the converted with the proved developed reserve of the discover the investment progress during the year with the convert the prove the undeveloped reservoir to prove the developed reservoirs included but not limited to the capital expenditures. Explain with the reason material of the amount with the proof of the undeveloped reservoir of the individual field country that remain with the undeveloped 5 years or more after the disclosure provided undeveloped reservoir. Alright, 229-1204 for the oil and gas production price for the production costs. For each of the last 3 official years, the disclosure of the production final product sold oil and gas out of the product, the disclosure shall be made with the geographical area with each of the country field with contain 15% of the more registration. Total provided reserves except for the oil equivalent barrel with the basis of the prohibited of the country in the which reserve is located. For each of the last 3 official years, the disclosure of the geographical average of the average sale price for the included transfer the per unit over the oil and gas out of the product produced the average production cover not include the ad varium that evidence tax per unit of the production. Instruction 1 of the item 1204. Generally, net production should include only the production of the own with the registration production with the inch of the less royalty of these production and others. However, the special unit of foreign production, net production, any royalty to provide with the more appropriate net for royalty chain with the figure of the furnished chain with the usage of the net production should be noted. Instruction 2 of the item 1204 for the production of natural gas should be included on the marketable production of the natural gas on sold base of the production will include Dry, residue, wet gas, and depending on whether the liquids have been extracted before the registration, transfer tiles, flared, added gas, injected gas, gas consumed of the operation emitted with the preserved gas light, gas lift gas. Reproduces gas should not be included until sold with the synthetic gas market as such for to include with the natural gas sales. Instruction 3, Item 1204, with the products such as the bitumen sold with the custody with the transfer prior to the conservation synthetic oil with the gas production transfer price of the product cost should be directly separate from all the others. Instruction 4, from the Item 1204, with the transfer price of the oil and gas, natural and synthetic produced, and it should be determined in accordance with the SAF standard 69. Instruction 5, 1204, with the average production costs, not including ad valorem severance taxes per unit production, should be computed with the production cost disclosed from the standard financial accounting standard 69. Production should be expressed in the common units of the production of oil, gas, and the other products converted in the common unit measurement on the basis using computing harmonization. 229.1205, drilling, Item 12.1205, drilling other exploratory development activities. Alright, for each of the last 3 official years of the geographical area, discover the number of the product for the dry explanatory well drill with the number of the new productive dry development well drill with the definition purpose of the Item 1205. Following terms should be defined as well with the dry well with the development extension well with the proof that it is incapable of producing either oil or gas sufficient quantity with a justify completion of an oil or gas well. Has productive well with the explanatory development extension of the well that does not dry well with the completion and install with the permanent equipment the production of the oil gathered and keep the dry well with the reporting appropriate authority of the well has been advanced with the number of the wells drilled with the number of the wells completed and during the fishery year regardless of the drill was initiated to discover the geographical area that each of the 3 years another explanatory development activity conducted including implementation in mind methods of the purpose of the oil and gas producing activities. 229.1206 for the present activity. Discover the geographical area registering present activity. Show the number of the well with the product for the being drilled with included the well with the temperature plan with the water flow with the product for the being installed with the pressure for the maintenance of the operation any of the other related activity material important with the provided description of the activity over the end of the most official year with the include with the date with the registration file with the document and reasonable part will include only one of those well with the being drilled with the as over the day with the expressed in terms of well with the gross and net well with the D. And note, do not include well with the registration plan with the drill with the, has commenced drilling unless that they are a factor with the make such information material. 229.1207 the delivery with if the registration commended with the provide with the fixture for determining the quantity of the oil gas measure for the future for the existing contract agreement the disclosure measurement material information concerning the estimated availability of the oil and gas principal source including found with the principal source of the oil with the registration and rely upon with the total amounts of the registration expect with the receipt of the principal source for also the combined total quantities of the oil gas subject to deliver the commitment and steps of the registration of the taken for the available reserves. Some apply with the division to meet the commitments of the next one of the 3 years. The disclosure of the information required by this item in the form of the understandable investors and based upon the facts represented of the particular situation included but not limited to disclosure of the geographical area, significant supply of the dedicated contract to the registrant, any suggested and reserved supply subject to the property for the curtailment which may affect the quantity of the delivered for the current a certain class for the customer, such for the customer to receive the service with the low prior to the interpreted contracts. For any prior allocation price limitation imposed by the federal and state regulatory agencies, well, the other factor based some of the regulatory constraint that may affect the registration ability to meet with the contractual obligation of the restraint need not to provide with the detail of the discussion price and price regulation. 5. Any other factor for the beyond the registration control of the party that have the control over the drilling new well for the completion of the competition of the acquisition reserve of the supply with the availability of the form reserve of the supply, which may affect with the registration ability to acquire with additional reserve of the supply with the maintain the increased availability with the reserve of the supply. 6. Any impact with the registration earning financial needs resulting in inability for the need meet shorter term and the long term and contractual obligations. Item 303 and 1209 of the regulation 611K 229.303 and 229.1209. If the registration has been able to meet significant delivery comments for the last 3 years, the describe the circumstance concerning the impact with the registration. For the purpose of the item available to preserve the estimated amount with the oil and gas of the registration can produce with the current drive of the prove the developed reserve of the present install the equipment with the existing economic operation condition estimated amount other can deliver the registration under lower can try and track the agreement on per day, per month, per year basis. 229, 1208, 1208 oil gas properties, wells, operation acreage, the equivalent of the reasonable income of the date of the end of the fiscal year with the total growth of the total net product of the well, with the express with separately with the oil and gas, including synthetic oil gas produced through the wells, total growth developed acreage, acreage was assigned with the productive well within geographical area. B. Disclose the reasonable current of the day with the end of the fiscal year with the amount of the undeveloped acres, both the lease and concession with the express with the goal of the growth of net acreage with the geographical area with the topographical indication of the acreage of the concentration of the material with the minimum remaining terms to leave with the concessions. Definition for the purpose of the item 1208 is the following terms should be defined. The indicated is gross well with the acre of the well with the acre of the registration owned with the working investment, the number of the gross wells, total number of the wells with the registration owned with the work with the interest of the cut, one or more of the completions, and the same with the whole with the one well with the four note with the discover the number of the well with the multiple completion, the one over the multiple completion is the well with the oil completion, clarify with the well is the oil well. 2. A net well acre with the deemed the exit of the sum of the fractional ownership of the interest of the growth of the well or acres equal to the number of the net well of the acres of the sum of the fractional works interest of the owned with the gross well with the extra acres expressed in the whole of the members of the faction as well with the members of the productive wells included producing well with the wells mechanically capable of production. 4. Undeveloped acreage encompassed with the lease, acre of which for the wells have not been drilled complete with the point with the wood permit with the production economic quantity of the oil, gas, regardless of whether such acreage contained with the proved reservoir. Do not confuse the undeveloped acreage with undrilled acreage held in the production under the terms of the lease. Part 249, Forms and Security Exchange to 1934.